So I just read this really funny prank. Well, to me, funny. To some people, they might think, Troy, you're a horrible person.
One of those
Like
dark humors.
Yeah, kind of like, my humor versus your humor can be.
I can have some dark humor.
Yeah, but sometimes our humor is different.
Yeah, it is.
Like, you don't like humor that embarrasses people, hurts people, blah, blah, blah. Not that I want to hurt anybody, but yeah, let me just tell you what the prank is. And some people have heard of this before. Okay, you're a trucker. And by the way, the prank is for truckers. You have a passenger or you have a trainer. I'm not a trainer, but a trainee with you, a student.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have a team driver with you.
Okay, so there's a second person no matter what. There's a second person in the tractor.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, the timing of obviously with every prank, the timing has to be good, right?
Well, it's the key to it.
Correct. Exactly. The delivery is everything, correct? Okay, so it works best if you have somebody else involved, but if there's no other trucker to help you with this, like at a truck stop, when you pull into, say, a terminal, a place where you would know there's other trucks from your company parked that don't have anybody in them. So, for example, you pull into whatever. I'm not even going to say a company. You pull into your company terminal and there's a truck parked, in the back where maybe they have trucks that are empty that drivers haven't gotten into yet. And you pull your truck straight into it, setting up what would appear to be a head-on collision. Are you seeing what I'm about to say? So then when you stop, you start pulling your air horn. Now remember, the person has to be sleeping. Did I say that?
No. See, delivery is really important. You kind of skipped that.
Damn. Damn it. Okay, so wow, I even blew the joke part. So anyways, let's rewind a bit. The passenger has to be sleeping.
Okay.
So now you understand. You pull in, find a truck that is parked. You set it up to where it's a head-on collision, and you start pulling the air horn and screaming. And obviously, if it works, the passenger wakes up and sees a truck coming at you.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it. Well, I've seen it to where a tow truck is pulling a bobtail backwards down the road. But now, I like the idea of you pull in to a terminal into the back, set your truck up in front of the other truck, and then whatever, And now the only thing is, I should probably say this podcast with a disclaimer because I don't want anybody coming back going, "Oh, Troy said to do this, and then my passenger had a heart attack and died." So never mind, guys. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's take that one back.
Or you have a driver that just doesn't realize to stop and they actually hit the person.
Yeah, and you might even get punched.
No, yeah.
If it works right.
Yeah, like if it was me, I would have hit you upside the head with my flip-flop. Pop.
Yeah.
Don't do that to me.
Sure. Let's take that joke back. Rewind that.
To your Jim Carrey thing.
No. Yeah. No, drivers, do not take me serious. I don't need you calling me going, okay, it was authorized on Talk CDL. It is not authorized.
Troy said. Yeah, Troy don't always have the greatest ideas.
Yeah, so.
Although it would be funny if you did go and had someone in a truck stop that's a friend of yours and you were meeting up and you knew, like, this is going to hey, let's play a joke on, Troy's talking to Joe Trucker and he says, let's pull a joke on Ruth Ann. We're going to pull in there. I'm going to come as if I'm coming towards you. We both got to pull our air horns at the same time. I need you doing waving your arm like, no.
No. You know, in today's world with some people are a little on the sensitive side. They look to try to be offended all the time. that would probably backfire. So drivers, I take that joke back. Moving on. Hey, got a couple shout outs today. How about number one, Ben, our Canadian connection. I want to give Ben a shout out. Ben and I have been talking for probably a year now, and he runs through all the United States. He's actually he's trying to do all kind of things, logger stuff, all kind of crazy stuff. But anyways, Ben invited us up to Canada to hang out, you and I, and we just might take you up on that, Ben. So shout out to Ben. Also shout out to Safe Truck Parking. You can contact those folks today at 972-391-5610. That's Safe Truck Parking. Also, shout out to Alex, my boy over there at Mother Trucking. I love that guy. He's does such cool videos, man. He's so popular. Mother Trucker. What a name. I remember when he first started out with that name, I was like, what a cool name. I wish I would have got that damn name, but shout out to you, Alex. And then last but not least, Ruth Ann, shout out to those folks that are delivering all the supplies to the hurricane victims.
Definitely.
I mean, we're used to it being in Florida, but it's up in North Carolina, and it is just unbelievable. I seen one the other day where somebody sent me a thing on Talk CDL's Facebook page, and he showed me where they're making this one place with truckers and some kind of food place. They're making 5,000 meals a day. For people that are, obviously probably have no power, no home, they're living in tents. You know what the FEMA fields look like when disaster comes. A lot of people don't realize that, Ruth Ann. After the hurricane hits, a lot of times people, they forget about it. But for months, even a year or more, sometimes these people that have lost entire villages and communities, they're living in a field in little campers and tents and provided by FEMA, and it's I don't want to say it's a nightmare for them, but it's not what they're used to living like, and a lot of people kind of forget those folks. So I would tell you, if you can find a good place to donate, for those folks, a Church of Christ Disaster Relief, they are big time. We've been part of those guys where we take supplies right into the disaster. Everything that's donated is directly for that disaster. So, if you find yourself a good organization where you're not getting ripped off, because there's also scammers that come up in these times.
Yep.
And, I see a lot of truckers. Some truckers have sent me messages that, hey, I wish I knew how to get involved and help. So I would tell you, just get with these disaster places. Some of them actually need, Class A drivers to start delivering. Remember when Katrina came? My gosh, that was so much. And if I was you truckers that are maybe part-timers and you're wanting to help, contact FEMA. I guarantee you they have positions that you can volunteer. And those guys actually get paid too. So you'll get paid for your labor, but you're going to be helping also.
Well, there's also going to be a lot of removal of stuff. I mean, I say stuff because there's no description for it. Going into a lot of these towns and cities that were hit by it, there's just literally garbage out front of the houses where, and I say garbage, I'm not meaning it as in a very disrespectful way, but it was these people's personal items that are now destroyed from the water and from now mold and mildew and stuff like that. So they're going to be needing removal of all of this stuff. And, in the towns and stuff, it's harder to get the tractor trailers back there. But in your bigger areas where all the trees and the mud and all of the yuck from being pushed from the surges and stuff, that has to be removed from the streets and everything. And they're needing, just like they did for Katrina, they are needing people to help start removing this stuff to get back to normality in these towns. So there's, I know a lot of truckers that used to volunteer, and then there's a lot that did get paid to do this. So if you have a dump trailer or some form of, supply that way, I'm sure they're going to be needing help in that vicinity.
Yeah, so they'll need volunteers, but they'll also there's places like FEMA that do actually pay, and owner-operators that have their own tractors also. You guys can really make a good living, but also it's rewarding to be actually helping people. I was going to take a break, but there was an article I have, and I'm going to keep this going, this segment real quick. It actually says North Carolina issues warning and caution due to the hurricane. And what they're talking about here is, here, I'll read a little bit of it. Let me read a little bit of it. It says, the North Carolina DOT is asking the trucking community to plan routes carefully after Hurricane Helene damaged and closed many of the state roadways. On October 3rd, issued a travel alert to truck drivers due to multiple reports of trucks having issues on secondary roads, particularly in the western portion over near Black Mountain, where all that flooding happened. It says, while I-40 and I-26 remain closed, by the way, in western North Carolina, some trucks are running into trouble as they seek alternate routes around storm-damaged roads. Officials are asking truckers to remain on interstates, U.S. or North Carolina routes unless otherwise marked due to dangerous conditions. So I was thinking also, there's a lot of drivers that probably could not get back to their houses yet, and they live on mountain roads. And if you look at some of the videos and the pictures, a lot of these roads, are washed out.
Right.
And when you take 80,000 pounds on one of those roads that you're so used to driving on, not realizing that it might have a washout under it, you could, technically have the road collapse or wipe out on you. So in my thoughts, I wouldn't do any more than bobtail it the most to get home, or maybe for now until they deem the roads better for your own safety. Drivers, have your wife or somebody, come pick you up at a truck stop off of one of the interstates or the major roads, or somehow get a second car to you, like if there's a terminal or somewhere you can park. And by the way, our friends over there at Truck Parking Club, they've got, maybe they can contact them. I don't know if they're doing anything for the folks up there in that area. Just somehow, some way, getting people, keeping them safe while not having access, to their home in normal conditions.
Oh, yeah. And I would definitely, if you're being dispatched into areas that are going to have that travel through, I would make sure, you have that conversation with your dispatcher and say, hey, did you speak to the company or the distribution center or wherever you're going, saying, hey, are the streets really passable for us? Because, a lot of people forget that you're coming through an area that it might have a truck route there, that the truck route happens to be wiped out, or trees are going across, or something is affecting it. So you need to make sure that communication that you have with your dispatcher and with wherever you're delivering or picking up, that they are aware that, you don't know what it looks like there, and you need to make sure that there is safe passage for your vehicles. Absolutely.
And I thought that was a great article to put out there. Let's go ahead and move on. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Alrighty.
Truck Parking Club is a network of instantly reservable daily and monthly truck parking locations throughout the U.S. Truck Parking Club helps connect truckers to truck parking locations throughout the U.S. via truckparkingclub.com. Our networks is made up of property owners that have locations adequate for truck parking to list on the platform. This includes trucking companies, storage companies, CDL schools, trailer leasing companies, real estate investors, truck parking operators, and more. Go to truckparkingclub.com today. If you're a driver looking for a new trucking job, check out NCI. NCI offers the following: new Kenworth T680s, competitive wages, solo, team, and students welcome, plus a full benefit package for you and your family. Check them out today at 888-311-7076. That's 888-7076. And tell them Talk CDL sent you. Drivers, if you're looking for a local, home, everyday driving job, apply with Carter Lumber today. They have positions for Class A and Class B local drivers. They can take experienced drivers, students, and non-CDL drivers. With over 160 locations, chances are they have a position for you. So go to carterlumber.com/talkcdl and apply today. Again, that's carterlumber.com/talkcdl. Thank you.
Attention trucking companies and truck drivers. If you need help with cash flow, we've got help on the way. Turn to Tab Bank, the bank that knows trucking. Tab Bank has been in the business of helping truck drivers and trucking companies with their cash flow needs for 25 years. It's just that simple. It's what they do, but they don't stop there. Tab Bank helps grow your business with their invoice, factoring, and banking services. What a plus that is. Before you book your next load, play it safe and contact Tab Bank to get their help with your factoring needs. Tab Bank helps determine the credit worthiness of your customers as well as billing and collection efforts on invoices that you factor with them. Let the experts at Tab Bank get you cash quickly for the loads you deliver. Again, it's what they do. Visit tabbank.com/talkcdl to learn more. That's tabbank.com/talkcdl. Tab Bank member FDIC.
All right, we are back, and just real quick, a quick little story I read this morning. I don't know why I feel like I have to read these things, because you would think that people would have common sense to not do certain things in trucking.
Yeah, I don't think everyone has common sense. Some lack.
A trucker told a cop in Iowa that he had been drinking Fireballs. You know what Fireball is, whiskey?
Mm-hmm.
It says a semi-truck driver is facing charges after reportedly telling police that he drank a popular cinnamon-flavored whiskey while operating on I-80 in Iowa on Thursday. Well, I think is probably, when you say that's almost like code for, okay, duh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was one of those. It was one of my right there was one that was very short and could be taken in that what the heck?
It is a what the heck.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. So, Virginia-based truck driver Scott Schneider, 58 years old, has been charged with operating while under the influence, second offense.
Oh. It was the second time.
Can you say screwed for life?
Screwed for life.
May I remind drivers out there that most trucking companies don't hire DUIs. The ones that do, it's 5 to 7 years. Mm-hmm. 5 to 7 years before they can hire you. Never in a commercial, and one in a lifetime for regular DUIs. So think about this guy. Second offense, and the second offense is in a commercial vehicle.
Yeah.
His entire career, Scott Schneider, is that what his name was?
I think that's what you said, yeah.
Your entire career is over in trucking, unless somehow you can drive illegally, which that's illegal driving to begin with. It says, while talking to police, Schneider allegedly admitted to drinking Fireball whiskey at lunchtime, and also said he kept the bottle in the cab and drank while he was driving. So he was just going down the road drinking away. It says after a roadside sobriety test indicated impairment, a breath test showed a BAC, blood alcohol content, of 0.149. A second test showed a BAC of 1.132. Now, again, I feel like I shouldn't have to have little moments on the show like this, Ruth, but this is our community. And guys, we're all about safety. And, it's one thing to be driving equipment that maybe is a piece of garbage and you don't feel it's safe, or maybe you're a little tired. But to get in a rig and actually actively not only drink like a beer, which I wouldn't agree with either, but hard whiskey.
Right. Yeah, that's like tough stuff. That's stuff that's got some strong kick to it. It's like Goldschlager.
Well, exactly. It's whiskey. So, what does it come down to? Guys, I would tell you, and it's been a couple of years we had a segment on this before, Ruthann, and I said this before, if you're a truck driver and you are an alcoholic and you are not dry to where you haven't had a drink in a good period, to where you're actively off the wagon. Is it on the wagon? When you're on the wagon, you're
dry. If you're off the wagon, you're drinking.
Okay, if you're on the wagon, okay?
Enjoy the ride.
Stay on the wagon. But for your own protection and the public's protection and your career, everything, all the negatives that could come with drinking, for all that, be strong in your mind and make the decision to quit your job. And I know you're saying to yourself, well, I got to support my family. Well, you're not going to be supporting anybody when you lose your career.
Or life.
Or you go to jail. Whatever the case. In fact, it's now going to cost this guy an awful lot of money. So don't hand me the bullshit, okay, guys? If you're an alcoholic right now and you're in a tractor trailer, that you got to support your family. I'm going to tell you right now. Call me, I'll help you, okay? But I'm going to tell you right now, there is absolutely... You're on a collision course for disaster, destruction. And you're going to most likely lose your family when all this stuff comes down.
Oh, yeah. I'm just, on that specific incident, I am thankful that there was nothing more to the story as far as he hit a van with a bunch of people or, anything like that could have happened, because there has been a lot of accidents. When you pull up truck driver or a semi-truck driver on, like if you want to do a search, I couldn't even tell you, before you even get into anything interesting, it's all going to be trucker hit, head-on collision, death of, it's always something tragic. And we really should be wanting to put something more beneficial out there in the news with truck drivers, not constant tragedy. And, at least this guy didn't affect someone else in his driving at that moment.
When these guys do this, and look, we know the good truckers don't agree with him, but when somebody in the industry does something like this, they're advocating for autonomous trucks. That people literally are like, well, we'd be better off with driverless trucks.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm pointing out. Is it's always something tragic.
Well, that's my whole point. I'm agreeing with you. So, again, I'm just going to tell you this. You would be better off losing your home and living cheap, getting a job, okay, for temporarily while you go through AA or whatever the case is, and get to the point where you're now dry and on the wagon. Listen, there's many drivers out there that have been dry and clean for years, 6 months, whatever, but they're literally sticking with it and they're not going back. I know people that'll tell you, hey, I'm an alcoholic and I haven't had a drink in 20 years.
Right.
And I'm never going to have a drink because I almost lost my family, or this or that, or that scares them. But guys, bottom line is, if you're an alcoholic, you're in a truck right now, and you're listening to this podcast, do yourself a favor, get off the road, get help, call somebody. I don't care if you abandon the truck there. I'd rather have you see you abandon the truck, get an Uber, go somewhere. I will guarantee you the trucking company would appreciate you abandoning. This is one time, Ruthann, a trucking company would rather you abandon their truck.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of their truck if you're in there with alcohol and you're drunk. And you know what? It's probably, you don't have to call them and say, hey, I'm drunk, I'm getting out of your truck. Just get out of the truck, call somebody, get an Uber, get out of there, get home, get money, and then do yourself a favor, get help. And then later on, it's going to hurt you, quitting that way. But I'm going to tell you right now, in the long run, getting caught like this guy did, he's done. He's done. And that's, I'm just going to leave it like that. guys, call me if you got a problem. I'm willing to sit and talk and try to figure out something to help you with if you wanted to call Talk CDL. I promise you, I'm all about helping drivers, Ruth Ann.
Amen.
All right, let's move on. So, real quick, just something I wanted to talk about with truck drivers for a while. Hazmat, is it worth it? Is the endorsement worth it? That's my question, and we're going to break it down. We're going to find out.
Alrighty.
So, hazmat, is it worth it? First off, let's talk about you got to get fingerprinted. You got to go through background, and then you get this hazmat endorsement. And how much do most companies pay? A lot of times, you ask a company coming in the door, do you pay extra for hazmat? And a lot of them will say, no, not really. We don't really, have anything like that. But if a hazmat load comes up, they're going to want you to haul it, right? Now, some companies might think, well, you know what? It's his license. He should carry this endorsement. But I'm going to tell you, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. First off, companies make anywhere from 40, 50 cents to triple rate to haul hazmat, depending on the load.
Right.
So let's say it's a $2 a mile load. They make upwards of $6 a mile. So if you are one of those companies, and some companies will pay 1 to 10 cents, right? So let's just say you go with a company that's paying you an extra 10 cents whenever you haul hazmat. How many hazmat loads do you think you're going to haul in a year? Most companies, probably a couple. Let's say even 5. And let's say the average trip is 500 miles. That's for the entire year. You made about $250. That's it. That's all you made. A little extra just to be able to haul hazmat because maybe a company says, yeah, well, we do it every now and then. We require it, right? I would tell you, if it isn't worth it, I wouldn't go work for that company. I'm telling you that right now. I'm going to tell you something. I was looking into this, and I've been hearing some horror stories. Listen to this. Listen to some of these stories. A driver that picked up a load did not know. I guess, as I was reading into this story, I was reading this blog. I'm not sure if they had the wrong placards or were missing 4 placards. I guess, got pulled over and checked. And now he's got all kind of fines. And the company supposedly is helping him. But the lady wrote in and she's like, do we need a lawyer? They have to go to court. They don't even know what the fines are going to be. Another story, a guy was going through Columbus. Wait, you got something?
Well, I'm curious. Did he not know? He didn't know what he was hauling. That's what you said. He didn't.
No, he knew it was a hazmat load. I don't know if it was the wrong placards or if it was missing.
Okay.
Like some placarded loads need flammable and corrosion. They'll have sometimes 3, 4 different placards. I mean, when I was running for New Penn, we used to pick up literally like little pieces, like sometimes explosives and stuff like that. And they'd be on like a half a pallet, but you had to have certain placards on your vehicle.
Yeah.
So I think it sounded like he was missing 4 placards because you're supposed to be placarded both sides, front and back.
Right.
Okay. So maybe he had 2 already, but was missing something. So when, if you're hauling placards, I'm going to tell you right now, if DOT's checking people, who do you think they're going to pull over?
You know that meme of the little Chihuahua dog and he's going, I'm a happy dog. That's like DOT coming after a hazmat. I'm a happy dog. I'm a happy dog.
I'm a happy dog.
Exactly.
I've seen that video. And you're right. I could just see the DOT guy whistling while he's driving. Oh my God, I got a placard. Happy dog. But it's so true though. And so the question is it worth it? Now look at these guys. What's the guy making for the load? Maybe an extra $50, but now his fine might be a couple $1,000.
Right.
All because, and that's the other thing. When you get your hazmat, you better know your stuff, buddy. You have to study to take the test, but it doesn't matter. You still better know what. I don't care if the company says, yep, it's already set in there, it's already placarded. You better know if the company placarded it right or wrong.
Yeah, that's what and that's kind of what I was getting at in the very beginning when I asked that question. Like, I'm not understanding part of this.
Yeah. So here, this other story I heard, a guy was going through Columbus, right? And he forgot that he was hazmat, that he had hazmat on board. Well, people do, Ruth Ann. You're looking at me like, oh, did he mess up? He did mess up, but it happened. He's just coming through town. Now, maybe he didn't forget, but he said he did. Anyways, the fines were like $20,000. $20,000. So my question is it worth it? Now, this is what they said, $20,000. I don't know if it was really $20,000. That's an awful lot. But when it comes to hazardous materials, the fines can be through the roof. Through the roof. So then the question goes back. Company asks you to get a hazmat. Now they're getting, upwards of triple rate. I'm not saying every hazmat load the company's getting triple rates, but let's just say it is a load where they're getting triple rate. Let's say the rate was $2, right? And let's say they're getting $6. $6 a mile. That means they're getting $4 more a mile, and they may be giving you 5 cents.
That's not right.
It's not right. I don't. And a lot of people go, well, that's our business. We own the. I don't care. You're asking the guy to risk. There's a difference, okay? There's a difference if a driver comes on and he drives for the rates you guys agree to. But when it comes to asking him to risk extra big giant fines. This is why I believe a lot of drivers are like, I don't want to mess with hazmat. Mm-hmm. There's been stories of people going in a tunnel when they shouldn't have gone in a tunnel. There's certain stuff that can't be hauled at dark. There's just all kind of stuff that you're not supposed to be doing. The rules and regulations with hazmat are way different, and the fines are way bigger. So my question back is it worth it? What do you think? Does it sound like it's worth it to you?
No, I think if there's going to be, you have specialized in any of the industry, you have your specialized haulers for certain things. Mm-hmm. I think hazmat should be along those same categories. A company that just hauls hazmat, which I know they're out there. I think that your general freight companies really shouldn't stick their feet into hazmat, but I do know like Coca-Cola products and certain things like that. Like if they have it broken down into the non-liquid form, portions of that can be considered hazmat. At least that's what I was told years and years and years ago. So there's those kind of situations where it's considered a hazmat material, but it's really not a hazmat material. But because it's not in its completed form, they think it's hazmat. I don't know. But I think that a driver should not be asked to take certain freight or said you need to get that endorsement because we can't hire you if not. I don't think anybody should be forced to get any endorsement. But if the driver wants to take a job in that field, then he should go with a company that is specialized into that and pay him the correct rate that he deserves for taking on that kind of risk and responsibility.
So then the risk versus the reward, I'm just telling you that I don't think it sounds like the risk is worth the reward.
No, not what your general companies know. I agree.
And some carriers might send us emails now saying, well, the fines ain't as bad as you're making it sound like. I think the fines are as bad as I'm making it sound. I think that the risk of it all is probably worse than I'm making it sound. And I really believe if it was me back on the road, I would not. And I used to carry my hazmat. That's the other thing I was thinking of when I was talking to this. See, some guy actually brought this to my attention. And we got to talking. This was a couple months ago, and I've been wanting to have a little segment on it. And, I started thinking to myself, I always carried my hazmat because I wanted to have every endorsement, and I wanted to be able to not be ever held up for a load. But then when you start thinking to yourself, I started thinking back, how many hazmat loads did I even haul? When I ran for Decker for about a year. I ran for FFE for like 3 years. Okay, I was with Elder Light for like 2 or 3 years. All those companies, I can't remember hauling but maybe 1 or 2 hazmat. The only time I hauled a lot of hazmat was when I actually worked for New Penn, which was owned by Roadway back in Pennsylvania, when I was doing local delivery stuff in like Reading and Allentown and all that. That was quite a bit of hazmat, but it was like, the LTL carriers, we would pick up little pieces, like I said, some explosives, gunpowder, and all kind of stuff we would pick up at one manufacturing plant there in Allentown or wherever it was. So you were constantly doing that. But other than that, all those over-the-road truckload carriers, it was so rare that I would actually haul a hazmat load that I got to thinking, wow, if I would have got a big old fine, right? How much would I have made? You know what I mean? I don't remember. It was like back then, I think it was 2 cents a mile we got for like a hazmat load or something like that. So so if I went 500 miles, right, 2 cents times 5 would have been what, $100 or $10? What would it? What's 2 cents times 500 miles? It's not much, you know.
$50.
It's no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
2 times 5 is 10, so it'd be about $10.
Yeah.
You know, I would have made next to nothing. It would have been so ridiculous. So the whole risk versus reward thing, I just feel that if a carrier, in fact, if you want to attract more drivers, even advertise that you actually pay, you know, risk versus reward. Give them 50% of the profit of that, you know, of that specific load. If you made $1,000 on that load, pay the driver $500 for that load, you know, on top of his normal pay.
Well, the other thing that you didn't mention is the cost of getting your hazmat, because there's a cost that goes with all of that, because you have to get your fingerprint, you have to do all those extra things now to have that hazmat endorsement, and a lot of drivers don't want to take on that cost anymore because they were paying for it and they're like, I didn't haul enough. So if you're not paying the driver enough money to really keep that endorsement, they're not gonna keep getting money out of their pocket to pay for something that they're not getting any return from.
I 100% agree. I mean, look, bottom line is, okay, me personally, I'm not going to work for, you know, wages that make me look stupid. I mean, if you think about it, you almost look foolish for doing some kind of, it's almost like the guy that robs the liquor store. You're robbing a liquor store. How much are you going to get in the liquor store? For real, how much are you going to get at a liquor store?
A bottle or two?
No, not a bottle. I'm talking about money.
I'm thinking the bottle.
Such a weirdo. Ruthann, like you're like, okay, if I rob a liquor store, I'm going for the Jack Daniels. No, Ruthann, the money in the register.
I guess because I'm just so used to people paying with credit cards, I'm not thinking of cash anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying though. How much really cash would they have on?
You don't. Yeah, that's the thing. That's my head. My head didn't even think of cash anymore.
Well, how much cash would a liquor store have? How much would 7-Eleven have? How much cash?
Not much. Only a couple hundred, if that.
Okay, versus a bank.
Yeah.
So if you're going to rob something, my whole point is, why rob a 7-Eleven if you got to, and I'm not telling you to go rob anything, but only an idiot robs a 7-Eleven. I mean, you robbed a 7-Eleven right next to First National Bank. I mean, you'd have been better off going in the First National Bank. Where's the risk? The risk is the same for both. My whole point. Right. Why should a guy drive a hazmat load for 5 cents a mile or 10 cents a mile or nothing? There's no reward. That's the whole point.
Just was thinking, you said how much is in the liquor store, and I was trying to think how much donations did people get? A bunch of change, and got a couple of dollars. Well,
and I was thinking the same thing. There's a lot of people walk in with cash, you know, for liquor stores, but still, what? Let's say you robbed one, you got $1,000, but then on the way out, you got nabbed by the cops. Now you're doing 10 to 20 years for armed robbery. Was it worth $1,000?
No, it's not. It's never going to be worth it.
I mean, I don't even think it'd be worth $1 million, but if you're going to risk robbing a place, rob something that's going to pay off. At least you had a big risk. And again, you know, like in the beginning, I'm not telling you to go ahead and pull your truck and scare somebody, and I'm not telling you to go rob something either, okay? Ruthann, that's the podcast for the week.
You're so silly.
I know. You got the word of the day?
I do.
Ataraxy.
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 Do it again.
Ataraxy.
Okay, nothing to do with anorexia, correct?
Correct.
And nothing like even similar?
Nothing similar.
You know, I've heard names with the word rexy. You know, I mean, it's like certain, you know, endings of words. You know, ectomy, meaning take out, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So what is ataraxy?
Ataraxy.
What is ataraxy?
A state of serene calmness.
That word would never be for me.
I know. I was so flabbergasted when I read that. I'm like, I've got to pull this out.
I'm anti-ataraxy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, something I forgot to mention. I'll mention on the next podcast, maybe in the beginning, but that ice pick bandit, there was a report the other day that he got actually now upwards of 80 trucks at a truck stop the other day.
That's just so crazy.
80 trucks
in one hit.
Wow.
He was going all for it, man. He was saying, if I'm going to they're all looking for me, I'm just going to give them one whappy of one.
I want to. That tells you this guy is not afraid of being caught. I want this guy caught so bad.
He's so arrogant.
And then once he gets caught, let's go to the jail and interview him. You want to? How cool would that be? Exclusive interview with the ice pick bandit.
Shh, don't tell everybody our plans.
Oh, crap. Mother trucker, you out there trying to interview my boy. No, I'm just kidding. We're out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.